Hey guys, hopefully third time's the charm here. I was gonna try and post a video tonight, talking about all of this coronavirus stuff that's been going on, and just a couple of practical tips that I found that kind of helps me keep things in the right perspective, even though it is definitely not easy some days. So I've actually been quarantined since Friday in my house because my dad's one of the sick ones. He's not like super deathly ill or anything, but he definitely has no energy. And I looked on the YouVersion app earlier today, first thing in the morning when I opened up my phone, and the verse of the day was Proverbs 18:21. It says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof." And honestly, it's one of my favorite verses when I'm trying to bolster my faith before prayer sometimes. Because sometimes I forget how much what we say impacts things in the real world, especially for those of us that are Holy Ghost filled. And I was thinking about it, and I know I personally have a tendency sometimes to speak my fears and then do nothing with them, but what's been immensely helpful during this time has been to redevelop the habit of admitting your fear out loud to the Lord, because it does no good just shoving it under a rug and pretending like it doesn't exist, and then quoting the truth to that fear. So, in the case of, let's just say my dad being sick. So, my mom's one of those people that have had chronic lung issues for years, and my dad's really worried about my mom getting sick from him. And instead of giving into that fear, I say, okay, God, I'm worried about my parents. I don't want to believe that they have this thing, but even if they do, I know you are their healer. You can, cure every disease, whether it's through your miraculous healing power or, the knowledge of doctors. And it's one of those things that definitely takes discipline to utilized consistently in a time of crisis. So, my pastor went through a period of time last year, last January, December, where his wife was struggling through a possible cancer diagnosis. And, they were the first people to admit to you that, hey, sometimes we have to remind ourselves of this every 5 minutes if that's what it takes. And it's during this time that if that's what it takes, that's what you have to do. And there's no shame in having to reaffirm things to yourself over and over and over again. It doesn't make you a weak person. It doesn't make you a, bad person. It doesn't make you a struggling person. It just makes you human, and at least you're doing something positive to try and deal with the fear instead of dwelling on it. Now I know that not everything always goes the way we'd want it to, but even if things do go south, I do know that this is still going to be used for his glory somehow, some way. Someone is going to get saved by it or touched by it or, encouraged by it. And no matter where you are in your situation, no matter where you're at with your family, no matter where you're at with, your own anxiety, if you do have any, it's things like this to keep in mind. So, I just try and start with, okay, death and life are in the power of the tongue. I'm going to be as positive as I can and try and keep things in perspective. I'm not going to pretend that the fear doesn't exist, because that doesn't do anybody any good. But just, anyway, that's my 2 cents for the day, guys. Sorry, if it was a little awkward. I'm just gonna stop here. I love you guys. Yeah, just be encouraged, just take it one day at a time, and don't be, afraid of reaching out and asking for help if you need to, trying to keep things in perspective, trying to, keep God in the midst of it. Because, the church has never been about a building. The church has always been about a people, and, being able to show the world during this kind of time that you can't take God from the people of God. It doesn't matter if we're in the church or not. This can be a really good time to show the world just what we're made of in a very real, very visible, very powerful way. Love you guys. Keep the faith. Stay hopeful.